You won't believe the tea we're spilling today. From secret breakups to shocking lies, this is Unreal Tea. Hit subscribe before the drama starts. Welcome, everyone. It was like a gut punch. When Gabriel Brown, the reserved, introspective son of Janelle and Cody Brown of Sister Wives, posted a side-by-side transformation pic on social media, fans were floored. He looked like an entirely different guy, leaner, stronger, hardened. But it wasn't the muscle or the weight loss that halted people mid-scroll. It was the pain in his eyes. Because what we saw wasn't just a glow-up. It was grief, etched on skin and bone. And now the internet has something to say about it. Don't scroll away. This is a story no one ever expected. Because what Gabe shared with the world wasn't a fitness thing. It was a loss thing. A loss that remade everything. The passing of his older brother, Garrison Brown, in March 2024 rocked the whole Brown family. But for Gabriel, it blew away the ground beneath him. This is the unseen consequence of heartbreak in a family that once called itself unbreakable. Gabe's before and after photos speak volumes. But behind that bodily transformation is a young man who is attempting to rebuild his life after being emotionally abandoned. Not only by a family, but by the father who was supposed to shield him. To the outside world, Gabe was one of many kids in a large, non-traditional household. But from the very first, he was different. Bright, loving, witty, the fan favorite. But as Sister Wives entered its later seasons, something shifted. If you actually watched, actually paid attention, you saw it too. Less camera time, more quiet. Fewer hugs from Cody. More cringeworthy scenes where Gabe attempted to grin through unseen injuries. And then the pattern established. Cody praised Robin's kids, always at her place, always sticking up for her. But around Janelle's or Christine's children, particularly the boys, Cody had drawn a line in the sand. The affection was on terms. The hugs were withdrawn. And Gabe stood alone in the cold. Then the pandemic hit, the ultimate test of family devotion. And Cody flunked, big time. He imposed COVID rules, isolating everyone but Robin's family. Gabe, who was already emotionally on the periphery, was cast out further. When Cody dismissed his father's simple, "I miss you" phone call, he said, just to say it. Gabe didn't become any softer. He shrugged it off. That was brutal. Not only for Gabe, but for every viewer who has ever been dismissed by someone they needed. By seasons 18 and 19, however, it was obvious. Gabe wasn't simply overlooked, he was rejected. On television, nationwide. And the world saw it happen in real time. This was not fatherhood. This was emotional abandonment, televised by TLC. When Janelle and Cody formally broke up in 2022, the final strand connecting Gabe to that broken-down relationship finally frayed. What ensued was a tempest of silence, mourning, and self-reinvention. And now, Gabe's body speaks the words his mouth never could. A tale of being left behind. Of seeing a father play favorites while your own hurt was ignored. Of seeing a brother die, while struggling to live through the emotional residue of a family in shambles. Gabe's transformation isn't all about muscle. It's about grieving. It's about healing without the people who were supposed to keep you together. So here's the question. Is Gabriel Brown the first of the next generation to emerge from the ruins of the Brown family downfall? Or is he just the most public face of a father who left 3 wives and a dozen children to live one ideal of a perfect family with Robin? This isn't merely another Sister Wives update. This is an alarm call to fans who are still clinging to the illusion of togetherness. Because what Gabe just demonstrated was the price of silence. The cost of favoritism, the face of grief, live. For some of the kids, it was a relief. But for others, like Gabe, it opened up a whole new wound. Because no matter how broken things were, he still wanted a father. You could feel the grief in his silence, the weight in the way he pulled back from filming. He started to appear less. When he was there, he was quiet, distant, reserved. You could tell this wasn't a teenager acting out. This was a young man grieving someone who was still alive. Cody, meanwhile, seemed more and more consumed by his life with Robin. the father who once claimed to love all his kids, equally now seemed fully checked out from the ones asking him the hardest questions. And Gabe, he was left on the outside, looking in. March 2024 changed everything. That month, Gabriel's older brother, Garrison, his best friend, his anchor, died suddenly. And for those of us who had watched the Brown family for years, it felt like a knife straight through the heart of the series. Garrison was one of the few constants Gabe had. In a family that often felt fragmented and emotionally chaotic, Gabe and Garrison had each other. They laughed together, vented to each other, protected each other. Losing him wasn't just losing a brother. It was losing the only person who truly understood the pain Gabe had been carrying for years. The grief hit hard, harder than we could have imagined. You could see it in Gab's face, his eyes heavy, his body slouched with the weight of something far bigger than any camera could capture. This wasn't just mourning, this was a total emotional collapse. Gabe didn't go to social media with lengthy posts. He didn't speak out in interviews. He went quiet completely. The silence itself was deafening. While the rest of the family tried to process what had happened in their own ways, some turning to each other, others leaning into their own households, Gabe went inward. And for a while, it looked like he had just disappeared. Fans speculated, was he okay? Was he isolating himself? Would he ever come back into the public eye? And then months later, he did, but not in the way we expected. Gabe posted side-by-side photos of himself. One from before, one from now. The difference was staggering. He'd lost 75 pounds. His body looked strong, defined, but more than that, his eyes had changed. There was clarity there, determination, grief, yes, but also resilience. He quoted a lyric from Drake. They said, "I fell off. Oh, I needed that." And in those few words, he told us everything. This transformation wasn't about looks. It wasn't vanity. It was survival. It was Gabe choosing to live in honor of his brother instead of letting grief eat him alive. Every pound lost was pain processed. Every workout a way to scream into the universe without making a sound. He was mourning through motion, finding control where so much had been taken from him. And in that quiet, powerful reveal, Gabe didn't just return. He rose. When Gabe finally stepped back into the public eye, it wasn't with a grand speech or some reality TV comeback. It was with a single image, a before and after photo that hit like a tidal wave. It wasn't just about the weight, though. Yes, he dropped an astonishing 75 pounds. It was about what that transformation meant. This wasn't a flex. It was a lifeline for Gabe. The gym became more than just a place to work out. It became his refuge, a space where the noise of family chaos couldn't follow. Every rep, every drop of sweat, every sore muscle became part of his healing. He didn't talk much about it. He didn't need to. The consistency spoke for itself. He wasn't chasing a six-pack. He was trying to feel alive again. He started eating clean, structuring his days around a new kind of discipline. Not the kind imposed by a father figure or TV producers, but the kind that comes from deciding, I refuse to let this pain win. The routine, the control, the quiet. It was all therapy. And woven into that journey was one especially powerful gesture. Gabe cut off his long hair, the same hair fans had watched grow for years, and he donated it. That wasn't just a haircut, that was release. A shedding of the past, a way to say, this version of me is done. I'm starting over. And then there was that Instagram post captioned with Drake's lyric, they said I fell off. Oh, I needed that. Short, sharp, and raw. It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about proving people wrong. It was about facing grief and turning it into fuel. Gab's transformation wasn't about escaping his past. It was about refusing to be defined by it. He didn't collapse under the weight of loss. He built a new self from it. These days, Gabe Brown is living a quieter, more intentional life. And for the first time, it feels like his. Not the life mapped out for him by a reality show or the expectations of a fractured family dynamic. Just a young man piecing together peace in the aftermath of heartbreak. He's been open about seeking therapy, something that's rarely discussed in the Brown family dynamic, and it's clear it's helping in small ways. Mentoring his younger relatives, cooking new meals, taking long hikes away from his phone. He's finding healing in the everyday, not in big declarations, but in routine, stillness, solitude. That kind of growth doesn't make headlines, but it's where the real rebuilding happens. There's also something incredibly grounding about the bond Gabe shares with his mother, Janelle. She's been his anchor through all of this. Her quiet presence, her strength, her loyalty, they've been a lifeline. She didn't push him to get better. She stood beside him and reminded him gently and consistently that he could. And what's most powerful is that Gabe no longer feels like just one of the kids from Sister Wives. That label doesn't hold him the way it used to. He stepped out of the shadow of a family brand that always seemed more focused on image than intimacy. Gabe is his own man now, not because he shouted it from the rooftops, but because he fought for that identity inch by inch in silence and survived. You know, Gab's story is really one about love and loss, but most importantly, it's about choosing life. In a world where reality TV often highlights the loudest drama and the flashiest fights, Gab's journey stands out because it's quiet, it's personal, and it's deeply real. For so long, he was just one of the many Sister Wives kids who grew up in front of the cameras, but often felt like an afterthought. But if you've been paying attention, you see someone who's quietly found strength in the cracks of his family's broken story. What's so powerful about Gabe is that his transformation isn't about shouting from the rooftops or seeking attention. It's about a deeply internal process, facing grief that could have swallowed him whole and deciding instead to heal and grow. He's a living example that sometimes the strongest battles are fought in silence away from the spotlight. And that's something we rarely get to witness in reality TV. Watching him now, it's impossible not to feel respect for his journey. He's shedding not just pounds, but years of emotional neglect, estrangement, and pain. He's choosing to reclaim his story and his identity, not as a Brown or a TV personality, but as Gabe, a young man who survived trauma, loss, and a family system that often left him unseen. If there's one takeaway from his story, it's that grief doesn't have to define you. Self-worth isn't about approval from others, but about how you treat yourself in the darkest moments. And courage. Sometimes it's not about big dramatic gestures. Sometimes it's the quiet decision to get up, to move forward, and to keep living on your own terms. Gab's story is a reminder that even in the midst of pain and family chaos, healing and hope are possible. And that's something we all need to hold on to. So, what do you think? Has Gab's transformation changed how you see him or the Brown family dynamic? This family's drama is far from over. So smash like if you're Team Wives, subscribe for the next explosive update, and drop a comment below. Who do you think will win? Stay shady, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next scandal. Unreal Tea out.